Welcome to the WP Means Business Bite-sized webinar on WordPress SEO. Please visit wpmeansbusiness.com if you want to sign up for the weekly schedule. We send it out normally on Fridays, so you know what is available in the next week. Each of the bite-sized webinars is 10 to 15 minutes long, followed by an open WordPress clinic, where you can ask me any question you like on a first come first serve basis. Okay, so SEO, what's it all about? Well, firstly, it's all about getting you good listings, a good ranking at the top of the page on Google. This is the sort of thing that you're also looking at. A little bit of terminology before we go too much further. On Google, when you have to do a search, this is what I mean when we talk about page title, not necessarily the page title of the post itself. When I talk about a description, this is what I'm talking about. Obviously, in this case, we have some video. So I'm going to show you, come back to that one in a minute. The main plugins that I use are these three down the bottom here by Yoast. The main one that you need to install, which is free, is the WordPress SEO plugin here. These other two are paid add-ins, which I don't think cost an amazing amount of money, depending on how many websites you want to put them on. The video manual for WordPress SEO gives you some extra instructions, although there are very good instructions included. And the video SEO extends the plugin to produce lists of the videos that are on your site, and means that you will get listings like this one here whenever you've got a video attached and embedded in your page. Which obviously these are very nice and engaging kind of listings that make people want to click on them. So that's the plugins that I use. The reasons I picked those rather than using, say, a video plugin that is free is that it has a lot more features and has a lot more thought that's gone into it. With the free video add-in, particularly, you'll find that will list out to everybody all your videos on your site. If you don't want that to happen, you need to have a plugin that's actually had a little bit more thought put into it. The same with the WordPress SEO plugin. It integrates with so much more, as we'll see when we have a quick look inside it. So let's have a look now at when you install the plugin. You'll find that you have an SEO tab that appears. What I recommend that you do is have a look, start off on the tour and have a quick look around. So this is the starting page. As I said, it integrates with things like Webmaster Tools. If you don't know what Webmaster Tools are, go and have a look at wpmeansbusiness.com/FAQ, and you'll find there's a series of video FAQs about sitemaps, which we'll talk about later, and the Webmaster Tools, what it is. So that will fill in your knowledge, but we're whizzing through it today in our bite-sized seminar, so I'm not going to talk about that much yet. If you have a look under titles, this is one of the first places that you want to look at. You have a homepage tab. This defines what appears in that. As I said, there was a title, and then title at the top, and a description underneath. So this is determining what appears on your homepage. It uses a whole load of little funny code things. If you want to know what they are, there's a help section that will let you change them. It just means that if you change your site name, you can do that, and it'll automatically update the title accordingly. Alternatively, you can just type in that box and all will be well. You also need to put in a description, because it doesn't know how to get a description automatically for you from the site, so you'll need to put something in there. There are a load of other things to do with being an author and getting your author details published, which I'm not going to talk about this time round, but just bear in mind that there is an awful lot in this plugin. The other bits that I'm not going to talk about, but I'm just going to show you briefly, there's some lovely connections with Facebook and Twitter meta cards. Moving on, XML sitemaps are really important. Again, if you don't know what they are, go to the video FAQ under wpmeansbusiness.com and have a look at the sitemap page for that. Okay, let's find the right place again. Generally, you can just leave the settings as they are for this one. The sitemap that's generated is a nice little file that tells Google about the pages and the posts and the videos that are on your site. Every time you make a change, it sends that file off to Google and Bing, so they have the most up-to-date copy. Some of the other things that it does as a bonus, which are worth knowing about, if you're posting on your blog, you'll be creating what's called an RSS or an RSS feed. It adds in an extra bit of text on the bottom of every post that you make, or potentially on the top of every post that you make, so that if somebody rips off your posts, your pages, by just taking your RSS feed, which does happen, it will contain a link back to your site and show them where it originated. You can change that text, obviously. If you're doing video there and you've paid for the video SEO plugin, you'll see that it has some other settings of its own, including one which you want to tick to say hide the sitemap from normal visitors if you've got stuff on there you don't want people to know about. Say a product file or something like that, which you just don't want anyone looking at. So you do have some more control over that on the other pages, which I recommend you have a look at. If you've paid for the video manual, then you'll have the extra videos appearing down the bottom. So let's have a look at doing some SEO on individual pages. So this is a test page on my blog with just some random text on. I'm just going to do a couple of things to it. Let's do some editing on it. Okay, let's say we were trying to optimize for the phrase. We're trying to give ourselves more chance of getting this particular phrase to be number one, or at least have a good ranking for it. If we scroll down, this is the extra bit that you'll have added by the Yoast plugin, which is giving you some idea of what it'll look like on Google. So the first thing you need to do is you need to tell it which particular phrase that you're looking at optimizing for. It will give you some suggestions, probably from Google, and we'll get a little ranking of how we're doing, which we'll come back to in a minute. So the next thing you need to look at is the actual SEO title. So you would normally use your key phrase would normally be at the beginning, and then create something that is appealing and makes people want to actually click. In this case, this is ridiculous, but I'm going to put click here. It needs to be both having the key phrase in, and it also needs to include to be done from a human point of view as well, so that it actually encourages people. Otherwise, you'll just have a lot of visitors to seeing a lot of people seeing the listing. Nobody will click on it because it isn't appealing. Then you have your little meta description that you'd put down the bottom. So again, this is the bit that will appear like here. It needs to be, again, engaging and appealing, and a short summary of what people are actually going to find when they get to your page. It does have a count on it here, so that you have a limit to how much you can actually display before it starts doing this, going ... So again, it's going to tell you all the way through whether your titles are too long. So it's saying it's got 48 characters, and whether your description is too long. Okay, so once you put those details in. If you update the page, it will go off and do a bit of scoring on what you've typed in. So there's some simple things here. It's saying yes, it appears in a heading. It appears on the page title. It's not appearing in the page URL. I'll show you how to change that in a minute. It is appearing in content, and it is appearing in this meta description. So it's saying it isn't appearing in the URL. That's dictated to it by this thing here. So you can edit that, and it shouldn't have spaces in, so it could have a dash, or you can miss it out. So we're just going to change that so that's a little bit nicer. Have a little look now. Okay, so we've got yes, 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 yes. What you really need to also do is have a look at this page analysis, which gives you a lot more detail. So I'll allow you to install it and play around with your pages. but it's the more green lights you have, obviously the better you've got. So every time you make a change, you'll need to save away again. Under the Advanced tab, there are a few things that you may wish to play around with. The main one that I'm going to talk about today is just not including it in the sitemap. So if you've got something you want to hide, like a download page, you need to say never include. You also need to put on here, you'd have a no index to say don't bother even looking at your web page, at that web page. So it tries to dissuade Google from actually indexing your download page if it was a protected page that somebody's got to give their email address for in order to actually download it. The Social tab allows you to set a description. If somebody tries to like your page on Facebook, what will it actually say? So it gives you a bit of control over that. If you paid for the video manual, again, you'll have some videos that explain things in much more detail than I've done here. So that's a little bit of a whiz through. If we actually have a look at your pages list, you'll see that it gives you your SEO indicator score, what your SEO title is, what your meta description is, and the keyword that you're focusing on. So that's quite a handy little reference. So that completes the webinar for WordPress SEO 1. I look forward to seeing you on another Bitesized webinar. And as I say, if you go to wpmeansbusiness.com, you'll be able to sign up there to receive the weekly schedule.